Hey there YouTube, welcome to my workshop. Today we are going to do an autopsy on the L-TWOO R9 group set. This is pretty much the same as the RX 12-speed group set that L-TWOO has also put out. And things are going well for a few months until I hit a pothole and my shifter cracked. I noticed one day that I could no longer tighten the shifter onto my handlebar. It wouldn't stay put no matter how hard I tightened it. There's just this tiny little crack here. I don't know if you can see it very well. And so today we're going to take this shifter apart and do an autopsy on that. Okay, so on to the main event. I'm going to take these apart for your viewing pleasure. Something I've noticed about these is that they're pretty much impossible to take off the hood rubber if you have this shift lever in. So actually, maybe I'll answer a question once and for all. Is it actually possible to remove this hood rubber without damaging the shift lever? So I'm going to say no, it's not. I think actually what's going on here is that they first put the rubber on and then they assemble it. Let's try to disassemble this. We need a 3mm wrench to get at that screw. Comes undone quite easily. Okay, so we've removed the screw. So I'm going to tip this out, take out, looks like there's a washer in here. And there's the shift lever. So now, can we coax this shift lever out? This whole thing is spring-loaded, it seems, and so it makes it a little difficult. So folks, I think this means that we're gonna have to take off the brake lever. All right, so here we've got T10 on one side and T15 on the other side. And then the lever comes out. And you can see those springs in there. Okay. So now I get a frontal view of the shift lever in here. Oh dear, they really are not going to make this easy for us, are they? So my best guess is that this whole brake system is a module. And you can pop it out. I think it's held in by this screw. Either that, or this is a screw that is a port for the mineral oil inside. Let's see if this pays off. And there's another screw. Yeah, and now I feel it wiggle out. So now I just have to get this hose off, I suppose. Okay, so I find a T25 star driver now. Now, let's see if this module pops out. Yes, it does. Look at that. That is the L-TWOO brake module right there. So when your lever depresses, it depresses this plunger, and then that plunger just compresses the oil out of this reservoir. I think it's pretty neat. All right, so given that all my attempts to non-destructively open this up have failed, and given the fact that this shifter is definitely already toast, let's take the scissors to them. So here's what it looks like without the cover on it. Bolt is there. There's a little retaining screw for the hose. I guess I can try to take off this hose next, see if anything lies underneath. All right, so now I have this little screwdriver. And this hose is kept in with that little fin. Okay. And yeah, nothing seems to be hiding underneath that hose. Now we have a better view, but it looks like that spring that's been keeping this thing in there can actually be detached right there with a little pry tool. So the spring is off, and now our shift lever comes out. Now the rest of the mechanism comes out. Let's disassemble the rest of this. Just knock it out, I suppose. Maybe that wasn't for the best. So I hope that the damage that caused me to have to ditch this shifter is now more apparent. You can see that crack starts right there and then runs right over there, runs over there. And then you can also see it pass right through the place where the clamping screw goes in. The part that failed is really the narrowest part of the plastic here. So what happened was that whenever I'd try to tighten the screw, this crack would spread, and then the screw, it would just back in and basically just bottom out, and then you can't actually tighten it any longer. I've had this kind of failure before with SRAM shifters. I think pretty much everyone deals with this problem. What I really think caused this issue though was that area that grabbed onto the handlebar is not very large. So for example, here you can see that's pretty much all the engagement area you get with the handlebar. So there's very little friction this way. So it's interesting that, many people have reported having slippage issues with this. In fact, it's just this little shelf here. That's it. What were they thinking when they designed this? There's very little contact area. And because it was slipping, I was really tightening this as much as I could. And that's what caused it to fail. Well, one last thing I wanted to do is actually check what kind of plastic is here. This plastic seems to be glass fiber reinforced. It has that characteristic grinding sound when you scratch it. And here you can see the injection molding lines of that plastic. So I got my sanding block out. Let's start sanding this down. Let's try to scratch some off here. It seems to be some kind of reinforced plastic. It has that grinding texture when you cut it, and it leaves this kind of black dust on my fingers, as if there's little particles in there. Take a close look at that plastic. This material, not really any different than this material, which is a shame, because as soon as that breaks, whole lever toast. Not only is it plastic, but these shift levers are not screwed in, they're riveted in. We've previously seen, I think, Cade Media break a lever on the carbon version of this, with the RX, which has the carbon levers instead of injection molded plastic. If you break the lever like that, your whole shifter is bricked. You're not going to be able to replace that lever alone. These carbon levers, I wouldn't consider this real carbon fiber, so to speak. This is what we call forged carbon fiber, which is chopped carbon fiber tow mixed in with resin and then compressed into a shape. It doesn't have the same structural integrity as a part made from carbon fiber where all the individual intact fibers run the course of the entire part. And so that really explains why you see some of these failures. For example, Trace Velo broke a brake lever in a small crash on his gravel bike. No one's going to sell that as a spare part. In fact, I'd be surprised if any of this is sold as a spare part. I'm going to continue trying to disassemble these. That's my cat. Hi, Pepper. Good to see you. What brings you to the workshop today? Oh, isn't that right? Okay. Yeah, you got an itch? Yeah? Okay. Meow. Well, I'm gonna have to let you go, Pepper. I'm busy. Yeah, busy. Busy with what? I'm showing YouTube. Okay. Have a good evening, Pepper. Oh, Pepper. What? You lonely? Oh. You want me to give you pets? Yeah. Okay. I'll take a break and give you pets.